Hello, I am Tobias Heiler and I'm one of the founders of BrainBoost. In a former webinar, we already showed you how you can use flows, so a sequence of several segments, such as eyes open, eyes closed, cognitive tests, etc. So you can standardize your initial consultation, standardize several trainings, whatever you like. In this webinar, we will show you how you can create your own customized flows. So maybe every single session you want to do a 2-minute recording eyes open and 2 eyes closed. Maybe all 5 trainings you want to do a more advanced flow, such as 2 minutes eyes open, eyes closed, and then maybe 2 minutes eyes open again, or a cognitive test. So have fun creating your own personal flows and use them.
I'm going to share my screen. You should see it now. And yeah, let's start. As I told you last time, there are more and more hardware partners we have that are connected with our BrainAssistant. I'm working on getting more and more hardware manufacturers to work together with us. Yeah, we're on it. Now, the topic of today is your perfect BrainAssistant flow. Now, last webinar, I think you were all there. I already talked about flows. So what is a flow? Well, flow is a sequence of EEG recording and tests. And today I want to do a little bit more of a deep dive, what you can actually do by creating your own flow. So let's see. Last time I sent you and gave you a flow, an example, where you can see what you need is an Xbox controller that you connect with your computer. So I have one here. Usually they're black or white. This is a blue one. And you hand it over to your client. You start a recording. I will go over this today. You start a recording, and then basically once you start a flow, all this, like you see here on the screen, it will automatically, once the client presses, for example, A to start, it will automatically record, in this case, 3 minutes of eyes open, then automatically record 3 minutes eyes closed. Then the test will start, like Stroop, CPT, etc. I will go over this. And another test, another eyes closed. And this, for example, will be a 15 minutes flow. So the advantage of a flow is that you can standardize your measurement. For example, your first consultation or all three sessions, you want to do some sort of standardized, just maybe only a test in one eyes open segment that only goes for 2 minutes. So it doesn't have to be the flows that we create and send to you. You can create your own. And this is what I'm going to show you in this webinar, how you can create your own. So a flow, and maybe one of you already looked into that, you can create your own flow, has several of these, well, I would say commands, or these segments you can start. It doesn't have to be a measuring eyes open, eyes closed in a test. It can be several. And here is what elements our flows have. Now it looks a little messy, but let's go over it. A flow element, and I will show you this in the BrainAssistant, sharing my screen and showing you this. A flow can have a text element. So please, I know there's a spelling error. Please keep your eyes open, blah, blah, blah. A segment will start, and while the recording, eyes on the screen, or please close your eyes. So a text segment. The next thing, if you tried the flow I sent you, is an audio file. So a signal like, please keep your eyes closed for 2 minutes. Then a countdown starts for 2 minutes. And after those 2 minutes, the client needs to know, oh, I need to open my eyes. So ding, then the signal sound will start. And audio can also be a music. So you can implement in your own flow a music file where you say, okay, listen to this 3-minute meditation file. While this, you can do an EEG recording, and then afterwards you can also say, okay, how was the brain behaving while listening to that music, afterwards, before, etc. You can implement those nested applications. These are the tests. I talked about this last webinar, like cognitive tests, like the Stroop test, CPT, Corsi, counting, 300 minus 7, etc. So you can do tests in a flow. You can show images, like a task. Please look for all dogs you see on an image, or just a nice picture people take, or you take a picture like a nice mountain view, or you have a nice, I don't know, snow picture, and then people should relax while looking at an image. So this can also be a part of the flow. Then also videos. in a flow, you can implement it. Please, once the client presses A on the Xbox controller, please start a video. It can be a fun video. It can be a focus video. So please focus on this video, and afterwards I will ask you questions, like a memory video. And then afterwards you ask questions, you know, what kind of car did the person drive? Was it a BMW, a Mercedes-Benz, or a Corvette? I don't know. So it can be a video. It can also have an element for single choices, a single choice answer. So answers, like after a video, you don't have to ask them and know them by heart. It can just be displayed. I will show you. And or what do you want to do next? And it can automatically start an application like the Focus Master or Dragon Bay or whatever game you want to play, like an application. And before we dive right into it, what I will send to you after this webinar is we, of course, with our first appointment, we use many different flows, but one we use quite a lot is this. By the way, always when it says approximately circa 20 minutes, it can be less than 20 minutes or more. You know, I can do math, but you know, sometimes the person has a question and stops. So this is what needs around 20 minutes, where we measure with eyes open and baseline for 1 minute. So the person maybe, you know, scratches a little bit, is a little bit itchy, it's, you know, moving too much. Then we have a 3-minute eyes open, 3 eyes closed. We usually then do CPT and Stroop tests. The Stroop is around 2 minutes, it's 90 words. So if you need longer, then it's more than 2 minutes. I think the CPT is 144 seconds, so less than 3 minutes. And then we have eyes open, eyes closed again. So this is usually what we do. Of course, it depends. For peak performance, other people, we might have other test batteries. Now, let's go. So let's start with how you can create your own flow. Now, very important, with all devices except for hello, one more person joined. Right moment, I will show you how to do flows. With all devices except the Mind Media devices, you can do this. Oh, I'm very sorry, it's in German. Of course, I need to switch it to English. With all devices except the Mind Media devices, you can record the raw EEG. So what you can then do is you can afterwards create heat maps, brain maps, take a look at single things, like single channels. But when you start, you can also start a flow. When you have a Mind Media device, you go on one of our connected protocols and press record, and then you start a training session like you would train. Okay, then here when you have a Mind Media, you see alpha, theta, high beta, etc. And here at the top, you can still start a flow and then finish and save. So you will not have the raw EEG, but you will have, with eyes open, eyes closed, certain tests or images, you will still see how did the alpha theta amplitude behaves. And with CPT Stroop test, you still have commission, omission error, etc. So don't worry, you can still use all the flows with the Mind Media device, even though you cannot do this. Okay, so you can create your BioTrace protocol, or you have quite a lot. We record a session, and this is where we can start a flow. So let's say you have a person hooked up. Here it depends what device you have. You need to select the correct hardware cap. And so I'm having a simulation here in the background now. And usually you can do it manually. Start a segment and say, this is my eyes open segment. You wait. Okay, now please close your eyes. Eyes closed, right? This is how you could manually do segments. And now with a flow, this is what I explained. You want to automate it. You want to standardize it. Start new flow. Now what we could do is, we could now do a flow that I presented last time. For example, Erstgespräch, first appointment, means baseline, 3-minute eyes open, 3-minute eyes closed, intervention, so a CPT test, intervention Stroop, 2-minute eyes open, 2 minutes eyes closed, Deutsch. So this is something I can send to you, but now we want to create our own test flow. Let's press create. Now, maybe it looks complicated to you, maybe it looks super simple. It is not too complicated. We need a title. So we say flow webinar January English, of course. So this is, for example, our flow name. We can change that later on, of course. Now, what elements are there? Let's start with an obvious one, text. Here you can always switch between elements, okay? So, and you can later also decide, I want to change this. Text element, it needs a title. So well, let's say welcome. Then it needs, or it doesn't need, but it can have a text. So here you can say the font size. And then here, this is very important. It can have the option skip or timed. What does that mean? I'm going rather fast over these flows so we get through it and so you can watch the recording. Skip means you can skip this element. So there's it. Once you start the flow, we will start it in a second or in a couple of minutes. Once you start a flow, it will say now, welcome, new flow. And to continue, if we say skip, it is possible to skip it by, you give this Xbox controller, I'm handing it and showing it in the camera, you give this to your client, and now with skip, the client can by himself skip it by pressing A. So that the client can read a longer text, the client can ask questions, say, oh, what, something is itchy. So the client decides. Side note, I will show you, you can also always skip. So if there's nothing marked, you will have to press it as a therapist, as a trainer, but I would always at least choose one of those. So the show goes on. If you have to leave the room, they're not trapped. So you can say skip, or you can say timed. Now, what does timed mean? Timed means after, in this case, 10 minutes, the next here with plus we can add, the next element will take over. So you need to wait, like with eyes closed, for example, 3 minutes, and then there's a countdown. Let's say skip, and have the next one plus, that says timed, and says timed, and give this one 3 minutes, 0, put a 0 in front, please. We will take a look at it later. Now, we have skipped and we have timed. I think this might be clear, but we will take a look. And here, you don't need a decision key. You don't need a post-processing ID. This is for us. We're doing research with some German universities, and this is for background stuff. Okay, you don't need that. But this is, annotation is interesting for you. It will, every single step will create a segment, as we did manually here, eyes open, eyes closed. And you can choose what the name of this should be. Should it be intervention, relax, training, baseline, eyes open, eyes closed? Undefined can also be a segment, and then you can give it a name. Here, this would be for me info text, and it says it's the, because we will create quite a few info text, the welcome info text. The next one, of course, also info, and we can here give it a comment, A, B, C. So after this, we might want, please keep your eyes open, etc. So this would be then eyes open. But hey, this is timed. I have a welcome dialog. So here, of course, we can just say eyes open. Maybe you want to use a few words like please keep your eyes open. And then it's not an info anymore. It's an eyes open. And it can be when we afterwards later might want to do another eyes open to have an orientation. It can be the first eyes open, first eyes open segment. So nice. We don't need a text element anymore because of course we could after eyes open say, thank you, let's continue with the next step. And then it could be a skip one because if you're ready to go to the next one, okay. But let's say after the 2 minutes, okay, we say next step, and it is eyes closed. Continue when you're ready to keep your eyes closed. This would be another info text. This would be preparation for eyes closed info. Plus, we need another text, obviously, but this is keep your eyes closed, please. Timed 10 minutes. Don't worry, we're not going to sit here for 10 minutes. It's not an intervention, it's eyes closed, and the first eyes closed part. Okay. Now, when a person has his eyes closed and you say, I want to standardize it, the person himself or herself needs to notice when to open her eyes or his eyes. Then what we can do is not a text, open your eyes, because the person won't read it. We now need the next element. Yes, we need an audio file. The audio file now has another option. It says continue with the next step on audio playback completion. This means once the audio file goes through, automatically, you don't need to press skip. It's not timed. It is indirectly timed because it's timed with when the audio file is over. So we can do this. And here we select an audio file. To select one, you need a file on your MP3 file or other audio file on your computer. So you cannot connect it to Spotify or anything. Here I have an elevator ping. It's very short. It just makes ding, and then the person knows, I need to open my eyes. So this is fine. It will not be an intervention. It will be info, and it can be info, sound, whatever. I kind of like to do comments, so afterwards it might get messy. So just be sure to mark your or label your data. Plus, so now we have a welcome dialog, eyes open, eyes closed, and a sound. Now, what do we want? We can, after the elevator pitch, say a text, nice close, blah, blah. And let's say, okay, next step is treasure hunt. Treasure hunt. We need now something where this is skip. Of course, you don't write treasure hunt. You write next, there's an image where you need to look for something, blah, blah, blah. This is what we're going to do now because we want to see how the focus is when looking for something. Is it drifting off or not? So this is also what I'd like to do. So we don't use text. We say image. We want an image, show it to the client. And for this, we need to select one. Press select. Wo ist Walter? I think the English term for this, whereas Wally, this is what we can also implement. And this is now something where you need to make a decision. I can show you the image because it was rather small. Here, this is Wo ist Walter in German, so where's Wally? If you don't know it, there's a person, and you need to look for that person in all these images. Here, him. You need to find him in images like these, which is quite frustrating or a tough order. So this is what I like to implement in flows as well for first appointments, maybe to check besides eyes open, eyes closed, the baseline, and check, okay, how's frustration tolerance? I can't do it. Okay, how fast the person can find that. So this is nice where I use image. Now image, I selected one, and you can now say skip. So you can say whenever you feel like you found the thing we're looking for, it doesn't need to be where's Wally. You can skip it yourself, or you say no. You take not 10 minutes. You take your 2 minutes, and then we will see. I would say this might be an intervention. So we can call it image search image. You can do both. You can say when you found it, you can skip. Otherwise, we wait 2 minutes. So you can also choose both. Now, what can we do next? So we have eyes open, we have eyes closed. We will start in a second. It's not too complicated. We have a sound to signal, hey, please open your eyes now. And now we have the image. And what you can do now is you can say, let's do single choice answers. What does that mean? We can ask a question. Where was, I think this is how you write it, Wally. Wo war Walter? And now we can add answers. Let's say up, down, left. Maybe be more creative than I am, right? And let's say this is false, this is right, this is false, this is false. And we don't need to skip our time because we want to click the answer. Let's try it. And if you forget something like this is why you want to practice a flow. So we have answers. This would be now, yeah, let's say info, or also you can do intervention, or you can say, let's use undefined and say answer for where's Wally. Now we have an answer, and as I said, you don't need to fill in anything here, okay? Because we could, but this will be too complicated. Here now, split when right answer, open a new string. When wrong answer, open another string. We're not gonna do this, but just to show you, it can get more complicated, which is cool. You can customize flows, but today is, when you watch the recording, is about creating something you like. Now, let's say, okay, plus, you could afterwards, don't overdo it, but now we had some image. We can now do, for example, a NAP, nested application. And this is what I showed you. Count from a CPT test, the Stroop test, the Corsi test. This was last webinar, so I'm not going to use a NAP now. You can watch the November 2023 webinar for that, but you know a CPT test probably or a Stroop test. So we could implement that. But I want to show you something else. We can now use a video. So you can say, okay, I'm selecting a video. Okay, where is one? Downloads probably. Here, test video. Nice. So select. After the video, continue with the next step. this would be an intervention, this would be video. And afterwards, you could also, I'm not doing this now, say plus and say here, single choice. You show a video and how many people had a red hat, what car did the person drive, how many, whatever did you see, blah, blah, blah. So you can work with a video. And the next could be right after the video, I'm doing a text as a buffer, okay? So ABC, you can skip that. So not right after the video, we start something. You could now say, okay, now start an application. Start, the next step, start Dragonfly, start flight map, start puzzle. So you can also do that, which is also pretty cool because then automatically you have some time, okay, how was the data? Now, how's the data when you play a certain game, etc. But now what you can use, and this might, and then we will start the flow so we don't run out of time. What you can also do, let's say, okay, the last step here says ABC, or let's say it says, nice job, well done. And here it's not intervention, it's info, and it says ending. So what you can now also do is there's another function that says end session. And end session might in the beginning maybe be shocking if you don't know it. So if you have colleagues and they never use the flow, what it will do, it will literally end the session. So it will automatically say finish and save session. This is what you usually do manually on the top right, correct? So it will automatically do that for you, which is cool because when the flow is done, there's no weird data still recording and you forget it because you then say, please give me the Xbox controller, we're almost done. So it will end the session and save it. So you also don't forget to save it, but it might be shocking in the beginning when you forgot and you say, oh my God, did it record? Did I forget to record? Now, let's say we got quite a few objects, save. We now saved our flow. Very important, what you can do is, and now you need to wait because now it is importing the video and the image. And if there's big data, a lot of data, then you need to wait a little bit. And this here, it says Flow Webinar January English. This is what we just used. You can always edit it, okay? So click on it and you can change the name here and you can change the text, the input, etc. Here you can go back if you don't want to save it. You can also do the following. You can also, of course, delete it and you can export it. It will be exported as a .bata file, the one I showed you with everything that you want to import in a BrainAssistant, you can also export before. Now, we now just created this flow and you know what? We have a recording running here. We did some manual segments. Ooh, here, there's a lot of slow waves. Let's say start new flow and we start our flow. It will now start on the client's screen. Here, welcome. So we have the client attached to an EG. We hand over this Xbox controller and now it says, welcome, new flow. This is what we just created. And in the bottom right here, it says A. Now when I just press A for a brief moment, there's half a circle just closed. Take a look. So you need to press A for 1.5 to 2 seconds. So if you click on it on accident, it will not just jump. So I'm stayed on it. It now says eyes open. Please keep your eyes open. And it sees this was not skipped, now timed. This was timed. And it says here 3 seconds, 3 minutes in the bottom right. We might change it that it's a little bit more prominent. Now, we have a webinar. We cannot wait 3 minutes, guys. We have time pressure here. So what we can do now, and you see here, automatically, info segment, welcome, eyes open. I didn't do that. It automatically starts segments, the one we defined. Now, what you can always do, and I'm trying to go here a little smaller, so we see here, this is now this, keep your eyes open, and here the countdown is running. You can also, you have the full control, go here and say next, or of course stop. Next. Now we see next, eyes closed, and we see here in the background, info, EC, eyes closed, info. Now we see automatically the next segment was created. Next, please keep your eyes closed. This was the 10-minute part. We're not going to wait 10 minutes, but you see here now it's an eyes closed segment starting. Next, ding. At least I heard the sound in my ear. And now this was the sound. And I said, after this, I clicked on after sound, continue with the next step. So I don't have to press A. I don't have to do it here manually. And of course, I'm now pressing A on my controller. You still have control as a client sitting there, but I'm just saying you can also control it as a trainer. And you see we have quite a few segments here. We can delete them later, but at least we have an overview what happened when. And now this was the search image. Let's say we found Wally. Next, and where was Wally? How can you answer? you can answer by using it's called D-pad here, this one. So not the sticks going out, but you go here, left, right. Where was Wally? Let's say he was up. I pressed A. Now it's praying. As I said, we didn't say was it right or wrong. This would be a decision tree. It's more complicated. Now it's showing a video. It's showing a recording of me. So it looks strange now. So I need to, I'm hearing my own voice. Next, it's playing a video. Nice job. And now let's press next. What happened? It ended the session. This is what I said. So here you see we're out of the recording. And still there's this one left. Now, I know you saw that I was clicking here with next, 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 but I did it, you can also do it with the Xbox controller. Of course, this is what makes sense because I want the client to walk through this flow. And now it ended the session and saved it. So if I go now on demo client, this was my recording. I didn't do any notes or anything. Show. Now what I see is here, all segments were saved. Let's go on the EEG data. And here we can now see I did some explanation. No segments because I did explanation. And now here, info, welcome. Of course, we can here, by pressing this button, also jump to a certain segment. Jump. Now here, eyes closed, one. And this is now, all segments are marked. This is now our flow. And we can now create brain maps and say, intervention video, what happened here or there, etc. This is how you can create your own flow. What you can always do, as I said, you can also go with training or even notes. You can start a flow and you can change it, edit it or export it. Now, a few more things. Yeah, first of all, where was Wally? Some people might email me angry emails and say, you never told us. He was down there. Be creative now, creating your own flows. Yeah, Julie, I know. Be creative. The flow, you can do this, for example, before every single training, you can say, well, I standardize, I attach you, even though with the training protocol, okay? So you can just say doing ZZ SMR training, but still, here's the controller. We have 1 minute, eyes open, eyes closed, the CPT test, and it will continue. You can have, if you say, you know what, I'm not really reading out EEGs in front of every session, then maybe it also creates some pressure on me that people say, you need to tell me what happened here. Just do a CPT test, just do 2 tests maybe after another, because you don't get better at a CPT test by learning it because you learned it, just press when there's a circle. You get better with better reaction time, etc. So use a flow to maybe also just do a test. Use different flows. A flow here before every training or every second training. Use a flow every 5th session. I do approximately 10-minute, as I said. This is not 10 minutes, but up front you need a little bit more around plan with 10 minutes. So I have a small first consultation flow, so you don't take over the entire session by doing a flow. And it can also be a reading or listening comprehension. So a tiny little thing, what I like to do what I like to do regularly is having here, it says Leseverständnis. This is German. I know German words. And here I'm going on edit. Or no, let's press start. Come on. This can be also something where it says, hey, hello for participating, blah, blah, blah. I'm pressing A now. Please keep your eyes open. Okay, I'm pressing A. Keep your eyes open. So this is now not the reading part. This is also the upfront. So I'm skipping that. Eyes closed, sound. And now reading comprehension. This is something where I now chose a text. And the text here says, Max and his friends, part 1. And I tell the person, read it carefully, then press A when you're ready. Part 2. Okay. What did the kids lose? And then a dragon, a teddy bear, or a duck. And then you can select the answer. So also reading comprehension might be interesting to take a look at as a test. So you can choose, test it whatever you like and play around with that as well as a flow. So as I said, you can be really creative. Flows, this is the symbol for it. You can do it in a training session, in notes, and in recording sessions, so also with my media device where you don't have access to the raw EEG. But of course, the raw EEG is very interesting to analyze. These are all the elements. Take a look at it and be creative. You can also export some of them, and it's a .bata file, and then you can easily import it. So if you have a colleague, if you have a second computer, play around with a flow, create one, and then export it, and you can easily import this file. And it will also export video, images, etc. So you don't, or sound. So if you build one on one computer and you want to send it to a colleague or somebody else, they will not be there sitting there opening it and say, video not found. No, it will compromise. It will make everything compact, send it, put it in this .bata, and it will all be there. So it's very comfortable. Now, almost perfect timing. The next webinar, and I know I was talking very fast, but it's recorded, so go over it step by step, will be February 22nd. This will be very hands-on, very practical, how you can create your individual protocols in the BrainAssistant. So some people say, I like the pre-built protocols. We have quite a lot of them. We didn't want to put 70 in there, and people say, when should I use all these different protocols? I don't know. So when people say, I have a QEEG recording, I have a report that says, please train something here or there, I want to create a protocol. How easy can I build it? Some people might have worked with other softwares and know. 1 second, Julie, about the question. You can create easily your own protocols, and I will show you a few tricks around that. And here on the right side, you see HRV, so heart rate variability. So maybe with our BrainAssistant, some people might have found it already. You can also train biofeedback, of course, because if you have a media center, it can also react on your pulse, for example, or HRV. So I will show you also how you can do that, or even combine it, etc. So it will be very hands-on, very practical for your daily job as a trainer. Whew. Now questions. First question where can we find past recordings? You can go on YouTube, and you can, and here it even says YouTube, a link. You can go on YouTube and you can then Google YouTube BrainBoost Neurofeedback, and there should be even a playlist that says Academy or something, or you can go, you can type in YouTube BrainBoost webinars, and then they're named after a month and year. So yeah, you can watch them there. It might make sense to maybe watch the last one where I explain flows generally and talk about our flows, but here you can easily create your own. Start with text, eyes open, eyes closed, text. Once you get the idea, time, skip, then it makes a lot of sense to you. More questions. We're a small group of people, so maybe there are no questions, or it was a lot of info in a very short amount of time. So I know. Watch the recording here. I love that you can customize for different client needs, thinking of fluency assessments for kids with communication disorders. Yeah, thank you. This, for example, one where we also say you have the function to also automatically open an app. So to maybe also not do too much pressure on a person. So we say eyes open, eyes closed, a short, for example, search image, and then next step, skip, you can open an app and make it timed, so the app will then, like focus master or something, will close after 5 minutes and the flow continues, and then you have another measurement or something. So you can also make it a little bit more flow, that's what we call it, the way you can make it also comfortable for the person, that you don't intervene too much and say, what do you want to play next, and they need to think, etc. Yeah, this is why I say you need to be creative, or you can be creative. But yeah, thank you for the positive feedback. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for today. February will be the next webinar. Hope to see you there. Thank you. And if you have questions, you can always email us, and usually we get back to you in time. All right, then have a good evening or day wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.